regularly. He does not need to do this for you. And I just want a lot of people to realize that this there are people out here that have crossed that threshold, that have made it over that wall, and they're trying to help you climb over too. But again, we can only help people that want to help themselves. So he puts the free program, to give you guys people advice during this crazy time. But you got to take the initiative and the energy to actually go click, log on, tune in, take notes, actually absorb the information, follow up on the information. And it requires that effort on both ends. So, Ty, definitely want to thank you again for coming on the show. We'll definitely have you back on future episodes. But I appreciate everything that you did for us. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt, man. I appreciate it. And again, everybody doing, if you can, it's free. Just hit the link. You'll be in the Zoom. Be about an hour, and just hopefully people can pick up something to change their lives. I appreciate you, King.
All right, man. We're gonna chop it up, man. Thanks.
All right, brother.
Let's clap it up for the good brother Tyrone Ross. Because real talk, man, I don't think a lot of people realize, man, people don't have to do this stuff, man. The stuff that people are doing. I mean, I charge for my shit, so you know what I'm saying? I get paid for it. But I mean, even when I was doing it for free, I just like helping people. So it definitely feels good to get money off of putting people on. But you got dudes like Tyrone that's out here. A lot of the work that he does is really, really super charitable. And he's really putting people on. And honestly, options ain't even for everybody, man. A lot of dudes ain't built for options trading. Enough dudes came into the game, peeled off because, they just not built for it. And it's not really for everyone. Like, some dudes are just real estate dudes. Some dudes are stock traders. Some dudes is Forex. Some dudes are just long-term investors, and then, again, there's a million ways to skin the cat, and you don't have to think that just because something works for one person and it doesn't work for you, it's like, oh, why is this shit not working for me? Bro, don't worry about that. Soak up the information from all the avenues, figure out what works for you, and get paid. That's all it's about. It's about getting paid. You know what I'm saying? So now, back to more serious news. This corona thing is really pissing me off, man. I got I got a newborn infant, so I don't know if it's making me extra sensitive to clown shit, but even niggas in my complex and shit, I see a lot of people ain't taking things seriously. I don't know if y'all seen a recent clip, but apparently there was a whole bunch of dudes on spring break in Miami recently.
I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from partying.
And I don't know if you've seen this video right now. This dude here looks like he got
about 2 months we've had this trip
100 diseases. He definitely looking sick right now. This dude talking.
It's really messing up with my spring break. What is there to do here other than go to the bars or the beach, and they're closing all of it? It's really
she definitely got the clap. This chick, she definitely looked like she got the clap.
Way too much.
Doing us bad. We need a refund.
This nigga look dirty.
Ain't that serious? It's serious. It's more serious things out there like hunger and poverty, and we need to address that.
Yeah, I mean, we planned this a long time ago, and it was kind of up in the air if we still go, but we're here.
Typical white bitch, they be having mono from 12.
Disappointing, but we're just making the most of it. We
I didn't even know what mono was until I went to college.
Airbnb spot, so we're just hanging out with them and trying to get drunk before everything closes.
I mean, it sucks, but we're gonna make the best of it.
This shorty is about
we're enjoying
450 pounds.
It sucks, and I'm from New Orleans, so this really sucks.
Like walking heart attack, walking cholesterol.
We having day parties all day. It's my birthday, St. Patrick's Day. Turn up.
We're just trying to roll with the boy. We're just living for the moment. We're just going for. We're just gonna do what happens when it happens. When stuff closes, we're gonna do it when it closes. But besides that, we're just trying to have the best chip we can.
4 days later.
Calvin Nicole, 101 cases here in Miami-Dade County. And we just heard from Roy that we don't have here in South Florida the number of test kits or swabs that we need for widespread testing. So we don't know how many people are walking around infected here in South Florida. And that is why Mayor Carlos Jimenez said he had no choice but to issue this executive order to try and protect the residents of Miami-Dade County.
So we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But one thing we can always bank on is the stupidity of Americans. And when you take the corona rate of spread and you multiply that by the stupidity of Americans, yeah, we got a long way ahead of us. We got a very extended put season. Things are going to get bad. And I mean, just look around you. I mean, I was in the city the other day, and I saw a couple of EMTs and cops loading a homeless, one of these crazy homeless dudes in the city into an ambulance. And I mean, all the EMTs had gloves. The cops didn't have any gloves or protective face masks, but the EMTs didn't even have protective face masks. So now this EMT, granted this disease spreads primarily airborne. So, let's assume they potentially could have gotten exposed to it from this man. They're going to go visit sick people for the rest of the day, serving them and potentially exposing them to the same virus. So we got a lot of shit. It's a long way ahead.
Members
of
Congress are now being tested positive for coronavirus, and you have almost 24 who are self-quarantining. Do you have any guidance for Congress? Should they?
I know all of them, and I don't know if they're sitting like you people are sitting. You're actually sitting too close. We should probably get rid of about another 75, 80% of you. I'll have just 2 or 3 that I like in this room. I think that's a great way of doing it. We just figured a new way of doing it, but you're actually much too close. You two, you should leave immediately. But look, I know all of them. They tested positive. Hopefully they're all going to get better. And it's one of those things. It's Congress.
It's just one of those things, man. It's Congress. So we also got coming in, Morgan Stanley's predicting 30% drop in GDP for the second quarter. That's just the second quarter alone. We also got shouts out to Rand Paul, one of the one of the senators, that actually blocked funding for the second bailout for the coronavirus bill. He's also recently been infected with coronavirus, first senator with coronavirus. So shouts out to him for bringing that up. Let's clap it up for Rand Paul. So really the main point and the take home from today that you really gotta to get is that, well, first of all, we don't know what the bottom is. And we don't know what the bottom is. We know we haven't seen it yet. That's, I know for sure. We have not seen the bottom yet. We don't know how far it's going to go. But what we do know and what we can take from, even though this is an uncharted territory and we haven't been through this before, we can look at disasters of the past and use that as some sort of a reflection point or guidance. And historically, even if you go back to 9/11, even if you go back to the housing crash of 2008, historically, everything that was wiped up eventually came back and then some. And for all the people, that should be the takeaway. So again, when people come to me and say like, "Oh, it's the bottom right now, so we should we cop?" And it's like, I can't tell you right now is the best time to cop, but I can tell you that if your time horizon is like 10 years from now, I'm pretty sure most solid stocks are cheap.
Should have bought some Amazon stock, but I bought the watch. Everything I do is not perfect, but I learn a lot.
And that's really the important takeaway. Like stocks like Amazon. Let's focus on Amazon for a real quick second. One of the other fundamental things, the main thing you got to take into this is that we are fundamentally changing as a society. When we come out on the other end of this whole corona/financial crisis, because I actually think the financial crisis part of it is going to end up being way more damaging and have way longer ramifications than the actual quote-unquote disease part of it. But things are just going to change. We are fundamentally going to change as a society. A lot of people's jobs are going to become work-from-home jobs because a lot of companies are going to realize they didn't need to have this office space. A lot of meetings that companies had to do events, they're going to realize, hey, we didn't need to do these events. We could just video conference these events and maybe do 1 or 2 investor days a year. Another thing, too, we're going to see changes in actual consumer behavior. I read an article recently about the Amazonification of America. Like we are in a phase where most people are doing all their purchases right now from Amazon, and the small minority that really wasn't, if anything is going to put them into Amazon's pipeline, is definitely going to be the situation like this, like what we have right now. So even coming on the other end of it, how many retail locations are even going to survive this? You know, we're now, and we're also making bigger monsters because Amazon is going to be, Amazon was Teflon already, but I mean, on the other end of it, everyone is we have massive layoff. We're probably going to have 2 million plus claims for unemployment this week alone, and Amazon is hiring 100,000 workers. That's a different level of strength, especially in a time like this when businesses are suffering. What's going to happen to small businesses? Quote unquote small businesses are quote unquote the backbone of America, right? That's what all these politicians say, and it's true, rightfully so. They do make up a majority of the employment and financial activity within America. So now, what's going to happen to them? No one has talked about any type of bailout. I mean, we've heard about bailouts for, individuals getting some type of check sent to them. We've heard about bailouts for the airlines, casinos, et cetera, these big industries. But what happens to small businesses? How many small businesses? Because a lot of people right now think this is going to be like a month, man. Realistically, at absolute earliest, this is a 3-month situation. No one's going to go out and just call and say we're going to be frozen for 3 months. But the way this is going to play out, realistically, at earliest, this is probably going to be a 3-month situation. How many businesses can afford payroll for 3 months? What's going to happen on the other side of that? We are in a position where, like, literally everything is going to change. So as things are changing, you just got to adjust. You got to adjust to the game. Shouts out to Larry June because, we keep it organic on Archer's Gang Radio, but you really got to adjust to the game. And what that means will vary to the individual because if you're a business owner, you might have to revisit your business structure. If you're an individual that was recently laid off, you might have to revisit your revenue streams. You got situations where people are getting laid off that, have been working 25 years, have never had a situation where they didn't have a day of work. And now they're going to have to go into a whole new, brave new world where they don't know how they're going to get money. They got families. And granted, I'll put this disclaimer out. I'm almost, we know the government is going to have to do some sort of massive bailout for regular people, but it's whatever it is, it's not going to be enough. And even if you talk about like payouts for, like, when has the government done anything in a timely and orderly fashion? You know how much fraud is going to happen with these payments, et cetera, et cetera. Some people are going to be waiting on payments for a month. Then you're going to be calling government offices for help that you can't visit because of a lockdown orders. So now what? All of these government workers are going to be working from home on their phone. The type of backlog that it even come from just administering a simple $500 to every American, whatever the qualifications you want to put on it. I mean, people, I don't really think everyone is really, really thinking these things through. And, wars is nothing. When America goes to war, we know what to do when we in war as a country. It's business as usual. We watch TV from afar. We kind of, desensitized ourselves to a point where we kind of like tune out to what's going on the other side of the world. And we just go to business as usual. But now when you got a situation where we're battling an enemy that we can't see, it's all around us, and we really don't know when he's going to attack. Now we're in a completely different situation, and a lot of people don't know how to react. One thing I will say, though, is that I do think that you need to spend this time. Well, I said it earlier, but you need to spend this time on education. You need to understand that we are, even though this was a crazy Black Swan event that nobody was prepared for, we are due for this downturn. So we are in the middle of a natural cycle when you look at the macro picture of our financial history. We were due for this downturn. So take that into consideration. This is natural. And the reason why it may not feel natural to a person is because you probably aren't really educated. So this is another call to education. You want to be more educated. And the thing about education is, like, right now, I feel like Neo in the Matrix, like, watching what's going on. especially when I'm trading, because